What separates you from professional sim racers? Is it raw pace? Is there a natural talent in pro sim racers? What's the real difference between you and them? That's what we're talking about in this video. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Marcus Som. I have 9,500 iRating, and I've raced in top split special events and raced for some of the best teams in the world over the last couple of years, so I'd say I have a reasonable amount of experience. However, if you've been watching this channel, you're used to me putting out incredibly highly edited videos that take a lot of time. This is not one of those videos. Today we're just going to be sitting down having a chill chat while having a little cup of tea. So while we relax and I talk about my experience, do make sure to go down below and tell me what you think of this kind of video. Now let's get into it. Now you might have tried entering a race where you feel confident, you feel like you've practiced, but some pro sim racer ends up beating you by like 20 seconds or more. The frustration is there and the frustration is real when that happens, and it's common for pretty much everyone. It might seem like pro sim racers are just better at everything, and that is because they probably are. However, it's not like these pro sim racers are superhuman or aliens as they're called within the sim racing world. They are just as human as you are. There's just a couple of things that they do differently to achieve another level within the sim, which is exactly what we're going to be diving into right now. I think 95% of sim racers don't have the idea of what it takes, or they simply don't believe in it. Because, to tell you the truth, not everyone is built for it. It's not an easy world to really make it within, and it's only the very top of the top that actually get to live well off it. So, to get to that level, it takes thousands of hours for most people to develop that skill, unless you have some previous karting experience or real life experience. Now these sim racers, they stay consistent for like years upon years. It's not just like you get good at sim racing in like 3 days. It takes a lot of muscle memory, a lot of practice, and a lot of analysis. It takes a lot of everything basically to become a good sim racer, and in my opinion, you have to build it up over years. I don't really see people just spawning out of nowhere. Maybe it feels like they spawned out of nowhere, but in reality they've been doing sim racing for at least a couple of years, or at least a year, just grinding at it. You know, it takes a lot of effort, and it's not a thing you just wake up and do tomorrow. It is not days, it's not weeks, it's not months. In my opinion, it's probably at least a year. For most people, it's multiple years to get to a level where you can even be competitive enough to join into a good team. It's a tough world, let's say like that. It's not easy, it's not always fun. The world is not flowing with money. You know, this is not what you do if you want to become filthy rich. You should probably go in another direction. But if you really have the passion for it, if you deep down believe that this is something you want to do and something that you're able to do, I am sure that it's going to be possible for you. Especially if you have the right equipment like these beautiful SimLab pedals. I've been using these to race at the highest level for almost a year now, so if you want to be like me, go and grab yourself some by the link in the description. Wow, I am the greatest ad reader possible. For real though, thanks to SimLab for being so nice and supporting me. It makes videos like this possible, and it allows me to show you a cool pedal like this. Let's get back to the video. Now, I want to tell you a bit about my story, because sitting here today, I feel like I've achieved quite a lot. You know, things people look up to, things that previous me looked up to and really wanted to achieve, and that I've now gotten to. However, it's not always been like that. I have been probably just as bad as everyone when they started. When I got on iRacing about 6 years ago, I instantly dropped 700 iRating, which means I was down to like 800 iRating or something like it. You know, it was incredibly bad. You can go to my main account now, look at my iRating drop, and it's not a good start to an iRacing career. However, the good thing is I turned it around. I started gaining interest in not just driving more, but also how I could become a better driver. You know, back then I didn't have any goals of becoming a professional or anything. You know, I didn't have any goals of where I was going to end up. I just did it for the fun of it. I wanted to improve. I wanted to become a better driver. If anything, for my own enjoyment. I wanted to be winning the races, not finishing P8 or P9. So I started just looking into stuff and being like, so where do I improve this? Where do I improve that. And just that bit of curiosity, I would say, was what carried me back above 1k iRating and almost close to 2k iRating. Just the curiosity of where do I do what better, and also doing races to gain that experience and put whatever I learned from my curiosity into actual practice. At this point, however, I was still mainly just having fun. I just signed up for a race, did it, didn't really think much about it, I just did it to have fun. And that's when one of my friends called Lauri told me that my pace was fine. I didn't have any pace problems, I was decently quick because I'd done a lot of laps, but I kept on making too many mistakes. I kept on speeding in the pits, I kept on underfueling or overfueling, kept on putting it in the wall. I just kept on making too many mistakes. And if I was able to fix that, I'd probably be quite a bit higher ironing than I was at that point. You know, already at this point, it became a non-negotiable for me to become better. I wanted to improve. And at this point, I hadn't set my sights on becoming a pro sim racer. I hadn't set my sights on getting high iRating or anything like it. It was just pure passion. And probably most importantly, my way of becoming a better driver was just by doing more races, not spending that much time in practice. Of course, you have to get up to speed. But once I felt decently comfortable, I went into a race without being afraid of making mistakes. I went in the race, you know, almost looking forward to making the mistakes because I'd gone in with a new mindset. I've gone in with a mindset that if I make a mistake in this race, I just need to improve on it for the next one. You know, that was the kind of thing that I thought to myself. And I honestly think that's something that so many drivers can just learn from. Because some people I know, they get scared of racing. You know, they get to a certain iRating and they're like, oh, well, we can't go in another race now because what if I lose it? Honestly, I think this is incredibly important to not fall into this trap. It's very important to just focus on what can you do to become better in the next race. Not what your iRating is. What can you do to improve on yourself? What's one little mistake you made? Because all these minor improvements, over time, they'll add up. So it might look like today you're improving this much, tomorrow you're improving this much. You know, it might look like you're not improving. However, in 3 months, you'll be up here. So if you're watching this video and you're kind of considering doing the race, but you're also a little bit scared that it might go wrong, I just say send it. Go out there, do the race, make the mistakes, spin it in a wall, do whatever, lose iRating, it doesn't matter. As long as you make sure to learn from those mistakes, you analyze them, you look at what can I improve for the next race, then you're making progress, and you'll feel that over 3 months, you'll feel that over 6 months, you'll feel that over longer periods of time. Now, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Any support is deeply appreciated for me. Now let's talk about the mindset. If you want to be a pro sim racer, you've got to get your head down and start working incredibly hard. The amount of time pro sim racers put into races is a lot more than you might think. The most I have ever put into a single special event race was about 35, almost 40 hours of practice before the race actually began. Now, I know other pro sim racers that have done more than this. I know sim racers that have done 50 hours, 60 hours. I know someone who's done 72 hours of practice before the actual race. Now, you might want to be a human being who wants to preserve your mental health and not put in ridiculous amounts of hours for a race like this. And you might be wondering, what do I do then? Well, you simply work smarter and not harder. It's not that difficult to find analysis tools, coaches that can really help you out, because essentially what happens here is all these pro sim racers at the top level, they have access to this pool of knowledge that they've either gained through experience or through their teammates or stuff like that. Now, this pool of knowledge helps them find pace, consistency, exploits, tire cheese, you know, everything like that. If you get a really good coach, he'll tell you as much of this knowledge as he possibly can, and he'll help you learn the stuff you need to learn. Of course, he's not going to teach you to it straightly. You need to do the driving yourself. You need to do the consistency, the learning yourself. But what you gain is you gain access to this knowledge that you can then use in your own driving. And this is stuff you can also find on YouTube and stuff like that. You don't need to pay your way to it. There's plenty of videos, plenty of free videos on YouTube that you can find and learn from. But this is the way I think you need to approach it. You need to be analytical. You need to open your curiosity, and you need to experiment with new ways of finding more pace and finding more consistency. Now, if you actually decide to go down the path of becoming a pro sim racer, you need to remember to pat yourself on the back when you actually do well. I was notoriously bad at this, and it almost burned me out because I kept on criticizing myself for the smallest mistakes and not rewarding myself for the huge wins. And probably the most important thing I want to tell you is enjoy the journey. Enjoy learning, enjoy the process of becoming a better driver, of improving upon the mistakes, of making the mistakes and learning from them. You need to enjoy this because it's a long and tedious journey, and if you're suffering through all of it, it's not gonna be fun. If the only thing you're chasing is status and good results and iRating, you're eventually gonna burn out because all of those things have no meaning. The real meaning of this is becoming better, not only as a sim racer, becoming better as a person, and just improving upon everything. That's where the real deep meaning of all of this lies. So the truth about what separates you from the pro sim racers is basically nothing. The sim racing pros that beat you on a day-to-day basis aren't superhuman. They aren't different from you in any stupid, ridiculous way. They've simply made more mistakes, learned more from them, challenged themselves and their curiosity, which is very important, alright? Challenge your own curiosity. If you want to become a better sim racer, you need to be very patient. This won't take days, it won't take weeks, probably won't take months, and it'll probably take more than a year if you want to get to a very professional level. However, this was just an insight to what you can do to become a better driver. If you enjoyed this kind of chill, relaxed video with a little cup of whatever, make sure to tell me down in the comments. Now, I've been Marcus, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.